We go. Look at that. We are live on the YouTube. Welcome everybody to the studio. It is Monday afternoon. It is not Monday morning. Usually I'm talking to you on Monday mornings, but you guys, it has been a doozy of a morning and to try to get to this point on the to-do list. So hopefully you have seen the weather updates and what's going on tonight. We're going to talk about it here in the video. We're going to talk about what these kids are learning in classes. But before we get to all of that, I'm going to introduce myself because for some of you, this might be the first time that you are getting a video from us. So my name is Allison Jensen. I'm the owner of Warren Easel School of Art. And every Monday, I come on here live and we talk about what these kids are learning in classes. It's usually in the morning. Again, today it's the afternoon. We talk a little bit about housekeeping, what's happening in the studio, and it's just a way to stay connected with you guys. If video is not your love language and this is not how you like to receive information, it's okay. You can always check at the bottom of your email. So this is going to come to you in email format if you're registered. The bottom, there's a Cliff Notes where I type up the same notes that I'm reading off of. I send them to you too, so that you can just read the bullet points. Now, obviously, you don't get to actually see artwork in the Cliff Notes version, but at least you're not having to listen to me talk. Your choice. Okay. All right. So this is the very first week of January, and there's already a typo in my slideshow. What are you going to do, guys? It's January 2025, not January 2024. What? I changed the slideshow. I got tired of all the white, so I went with purple, and there's some pretty blues in it too. So I'm going to talk through each of the classes. Also, if this is your first video, there are timestamps on the YouTube page, and then also noted in your email and noted on the Facebook group page when I post it. So you can just watch the section about your classes. You don't have to watch about all the classes and what everybody in the studio is doing. Just scroll down to the timestamp and see where like we're talking about your kids' specific classes, and you can watch that. I always say watch the intro, watch your classes, and then maybe watch the housekeeping. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's kind of dive into the intro section on my notes. So it is week 1 of January 2025, not 2024. Everyone was supposed to have class this week, but Mother Nature kind of ruined that for us. So it is a snow day for us here in Liberty. That is very rare that we cancel classes, but it's also very rare that we get a foot of snow. So we went ahead and we canceled classes for today. So there were no classes in the morning at Flatwoods. There are no afternoon classes in Liberty today for homeschool, and there will be no evening classes at either location. So if you are in those classes, you are getting emails from us. I know Liberty's ones have already been sent out. I did that before I went live on YouTube. Flatwoods, yours is coming as soon as I finish this video. If you're registered for classes, those emails will go to you and it'll explain to you the different options that you have for making up that lesson. Okay. And then if neither of those work and you're like, those are not acceptable, Allison, send me an email and we'll talk through like what your schedule looks like and what we can do to make sure that you don't miss those lessons. If you are in a multimedia class, that's the class that produces a project, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Those makeups, there's like a time sensitivity to it. Like if you don't come for a makeup session by the time we hit next week's class, then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start your project and try to get you caught up in class. For our drawing people, at the exception of 103, the lessons really don't build on each other. I mean, they all kind of go together, but really you're not behind if you miss it. Because we start with a new lesson every single week, rather than like stepping through a project for 4 weeks. So you can really do your makeups anytime. Like if you wanted to do your makeups in February, you could do that. So anyways, take a look at the emails when you get it, look at those options, look at your calendar. And then if you want to have a conversation about how we do those makeups or what would be the best option based on your class and your schedule, let me know. Okay, we'll have a conversation about that. All right. So no Monday classes tonight. The other thing we did, and we sent emails out to everybody who is affected by this, but there are no preschool classes tomorrow. So that's Tuesday, January 7th. We went ahead and canceled those morning classes. And because we have an off day later in the month, so we might as well use it. So we're going to move those to the 28th, which was supposed to be an off day. And that keeps us from having to do like we already know attendance is going to be low tomorrow if we're open, which if I didn't have a makeup option that worked so seamlessly, I probably would have been open. But if you're only gonna have 2 or 3 kids and then everybody else misses it, and then you got to figure makeup, so we might as well just let's just all get together on the 28th. Okay. So that's what that decision was made. It was just really easy for us to do that. So, so Tuesday, tomorrow morning, the studios will be closed. And then you guys, like, I really think tomorrow night we're going to be open. Okay. Like, I would be shocked if we're not open. Now, if depending on where you live, like, I know some of you guys drive from like a rural area. Maybe you just live in Kansas City and they don't plow their subdivisions. Like, I get it. I live less than a mile from the Liberty studio. And so, I mean, I could have sledded here. Like, it doesn't, I have a different trip than everybody else. If you're coming from further away or lots of hills or who knows what your reason is, and you don't have to justify it to me. If you cannot come and we are open, it's okay. You are never like in trouble. We never think badly of you. Like, everybody has different like paths of travel. So do what you can, if you do what you're comfortable with, and know that we're always here for makeups. Okay. So that's speaking of tomorrow night. So I'm thinking we're going to be open tomorrow. I'm like 90% sure that we will be open tomorrow night. Again, double check the social media before you come, check your emails before you come, just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure we'll be open tomorrow night. And if you are unable to come, it's a-okay. We always have makeup options for you. And if you can't make it to makeups, we will work with you. Like, we'll figure it out in your regular class time. Okay. All right, let's dive in. Normally the intro is not that long. Let's dive in. Here we go. We're going to talk about each of these sections. So speaking of our preschool classes, now I don't have like art to show you today because we've been off for 2 weeks. So like, I've got nothing, but I am going to talk to you about what we're learning and what you can look forward to. So if you're in our preschool classes, this is one of my favorite months. This is the month where we study our the concept of contrast and light and dark. And so we're going to do a lot of dark play. The preschool room will be blacked out in black light for the first 2 weeks. And then in the third week, the big room is blacked out when we read the book Flashlight. In week 1, we're going to read Where the Wild Things Are, and we're going to have a wild rumpus, and we're going to make music, and we're going to paint with neon paints, and we're going to make monsters. And what else are we going to do? We're going to, hang on, I got to look at my notes. We draw some fantasy world like landscapes and do a lot of things that glow under black lights. So it is a really fun month for everybody. I hope that you can make it to classes. Again, if you're in Monday classes, we didn't do that class. If you're in Tuesday classes, we didn't do that class tomorrow. But it'll happen. I promise. Next time you come, we'll do this class. All right. And we'll talk about it in next Monday's video on where you guys are at and everything. But if you're in Thursday classes, we're in Friday classes in Liberty. We'll be doing this. Okay. So good times in the preschool classes. Again, a lot of dark play, a lot of kind of imaginative, high sensory stuff. Here we go. In our multimedia classes. So this is for all of our multimedia classes, it is acrylic painting month. So this is something that every single month in multimedia, we switch our medium. Gets tricky, right? Because media is plural and medium is singular. So we switch our medium every single month. And this month's medium is acrylic. So this is a type of paint. There are lots of different types of paints. We did watercolors in December. Acrylic is a not washable paint. So please make sure you wear old clothes to the studio. We do have like t-shirts that we can throw on over the kids if they need it. If they say they want it, usually it's an option. It's not something we make anybody put on. It's better if we just wear something that you don't mind getting like stuff on. Okay. Especially because it's not just shirts, right? Like I have a really bad habit of wiping my hands on my pants. So, you know, paint doesn't just stay on shirts. And so it can also get on pants. It can also get on shoes. Wear your art clothes to the studio, please. This is not something where we're like throwing paint, but things happen. Okay. These K-3 kids are doing one of our favorite projects, and they are making giant abstract paintings. And so these things are big. They're 18 by 24. They're poster size. It's going to take us all 4 weeks to put the different layers on them. In our first week, we're going to look at some inspiration. This is actually a painting by Heather Day. She's a contemporary abstract artist who's American and very well known. We've also got, this is like the slideshow that we go through with the kids. We're going to look at some information, some art by Jean Miro. We're going to look at some art by Jackson Pollock. We're going to look at, obviously, Heather Day is up there, and then a few other like contemporary abstract artists. And so we'll talk about like positive and negative space, and we'll talk about mark making. We'll talk about shapes that they use and textures that they use and lines that they use. So lots of great conversations that will happen in week 1 as we look through our art inspiration slideshow. And then we'll get our first coat of paint on their poster. So they will pick a color family, and they will do that every single week. We try not to cross the color wheel with them in this project. So they will pick a family that stays on one side of the color wheel. And the reason we do that is so that it doesn't turn to muddy brown. So we'll stay on one side of the color wheel, whatever family they pick. And it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else. Everybody picks their family, and then they will paint their background using those colors and some really big like scraping tools and big brushes. So that's the plan for week 1. As the month goes on, we will move our painting tools into something that is smaller. So the brushes will get smaller, the tools will get smaller, and they will always pick their color families every single week. So it's a super fun project, and we look forward to showing you the progress on those. And so in the subsequent weeks, I probably in the video will not show paintings because they're bigger than my camera screen is, but I will definitely have photo images here, and then we'll also have them on social media. All right. Our 4th and 5th grade and homeschool classes for multimedia, it is also acrylic month, and their subject is pets or animals. So we say pets because pet portrait has some fantastic alliteration and I just like it, but ultimately it doesn't have to be a picture of your pet. It can be a picture of any animal that you want. We're looking for a portrait, so something that is like bust and up, no legs, no hands, no tails, none of that. Like this is a portrait, right? And so we're going to look at some different contemporary artists. And you can see there's at the very top corner, that's Cat and Bird by Paul Klee. Sorry, I was like, who did that one? Which is not a contemporary artist, but a lot of the ones we're going to look at are, there's also Franz Marc. He's got the yellow cow there, which is not a contemporary artist. But a lot of them that we will look at will be artists who are working and making art nowadays, doing pet portraits or doing animal portraits. This one here is by one of my favorites, who is both a digital painter and an oil painter. She's amazing. And I love the colors that she uses. So in our slideshow, we're going to look at some of this art, talk about the design choices that these artists make, their composition choices, as well as their color choices. Someone like this artist here, whose name escapes me, I can only remember her Instagram handle, or Franz Marc's, like they do a lot of abstraction in their color choices. Some of them are a little more realistic, so the kids will get to choose that. We'll also talk about the colors that you see within black and white. They will paint their backgrounds in week 1, and they will also select their image. And so here's where I may need some help from you parents. The artists have a decision to make, like in terms of, what do I want to paint? Do I want to paint a bulldog? Do I want to paint my bulldog? Like, so if you have a pet at home and you're like, I would like to paint Rocky, this dog right here, then we just need a photo reference so that we can help your artists to set up their composition and to make that painting. So there is a link in the notes section here, and we'll also be emailing each of our 4th and 5th grade and homeschool rosters this week with a link for you to submit a picture if you'd like us to print it for you. We're happy to do that on our printer, and that way we can make sure it's printed to scale and all sorts of stuff. So if they're just like, no, I just want to paint any giraffe, I don't need my pet giraffe, then we'll help them find a picture of a giraffe. We usually look on Canva and find a really good one for them, and then we'll take care of printing that for you. So that'll be a lot of since we're not a type of place where everybody paints the same thing, that's going to take up a lot of class time in week 1, where we are just working with them individually to figure out what is their animal, what is their composition, what is their design choice, what is their background, so that they can get going on that. If there is a class in the month of January who will struggle to finish, it's going to be this one. And it's every year. Like, some kids just whip through this project. Like, they're super confident in acrylic painting. They're really good at drawing from photo reference. Like, they don't struggle in any of the steps, and they just nail it, and then they're done. But for some of our kids, this is the first time that they've done all of these steps in terms of finding a photo reference, in terms of sketching it out on a canvas, mixing paint on a paint palette. Like, if you're really like practiced at it, that's very fast. If you're not, it's slow in every single step. And so depending on experience, depending on how much indecision you have in making decisions, and how much brainstorming you do, this can take longer than what we have in 4 class periods. That's not a problem, because we always have extra time available for our artists. So if your artist is one of those that just needs a little bit more time to work through the different project steps, every single week we have time available for them. In Liberty, that's on Wednesday nights. On Flatwoods, that's on Friday nights. And it's by reservation. You just go to the For Current Students webpage. It's under makeups, and it's like register for more additional studio time. If those times don't work for you, all you have to do is send me a message, and so that way we can figure out times that do. Maybe that's coming in during another 4th and 5th grade class. Maybe that's coming in early from your class. Maybe that's staying late from your class, especially later in the month when all they're doing is work time. It's not a big deal for us to have additional artists in that class just working on their painting. So please let us know if you need more time. This is something that we've done this class. I think this is probably our 6th year doing pet and animal portraits in January with this age group. And there's always going to be some that need more time, and we want to make sure that we honor that and get that to you, okay? All right. Whew. I'm talking a lot today. Here we go. 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th. Also acrylic media for these guys, and they are going to have the privilege, pleasure of not only working with kind of a traditional acrylic paint, but also with the modern acrylic paint pens. And so if you're familiar with Posca, is the brand that people talk about. We have a whole bunch of Posca pens in the studio, and they will get the chance to work with those on their compositions. Now for our 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th, they're going to be exploring altered paintings. And so rather than starting with a blank canvas, they will start with an image. They're going to find out of a magazine. This is not a mixed media project. This is not something that they're going to be collaging. They will find a singular image and decide what to keep, what to omit, and what to alter. And then they will go from there. And so we've got, again, some contemporary artists who do this. And so some of their pictures that they work from and their final pieces of art, some of them have some really fun like trompe-l'oeil effects. Some of them are very pop arty, and some of them are a little bit more thought-provoking. So there's some really great examples to look at with our kids, and we'll go through that slideshow with them in week 1. They will also pick their image in week 1. We'll get their canvas prepped. So they're going to be working on canvas panels, not canvas like a stretched canvas. They're going to work on canvas panels because those are a little bit more sturdy, especially for allowing us to like spray adhesive the image on. And then that preps their canvas, and then they'll go from there with all of their paints. Most of them will not start painting this week. It'll just be planning and preparing, and then the paints part will start next week. Okay. All right, creative explorations. And so for those of you who are new around here, creative explorations is our process art class. It is child-led. And so we set all the stuff up, and they decide how they want to use it. Rather than like saying, hey, everybody's painting a pet portrait. Here are our 4 steps that we're going to all go through together to accomplish that. We put out the painting supplies, and then they decide what they want to make and how they want to do it and what those steps are. So it's really great for kids who already have a vision, or who like to just see where it takes them without having an end goal in mind. And so they will always have a medium like focus. And so for this month, it is acrylic, just like our multimedia classes. They will always have a drawing table, which I gotta look, like a still life drawing table, which for this month is shadow tracing. So that kind of throws into our fundamentals who are doing this like shadow, black and white, light play. So that's going to be their drawing and still life. They'll always have a sensory station, which a lot of times we pull from our preschool. So for that, it's going to be a black and white Play-Doh, which explores the idea of contrast and grayscale. They have a journal invitation, which for our month of January is paper snowflakes. And then they'll always have an art history focus, which for this month is Monet. So lots of great stuff. Oh, and a collaborative vertical surface, which is so good for gross motor and working in that shoulder stability and core stability, and working big. So we've got something big on the wall that's collaborative. I think for this month, it's like a winter landscape using paints because it's painting one. Drawing 101. Turn over my page. Drink some coffee. Take a break. Okay, for our Drawing 101 kids, we've got a whole month of very novel and fun lessons for them. They work from photograph, they work from life, and they work from imagination every single month. So in our first lesson, we're going to be working from life and from our observational skills. So taking something that we see and drawing it, but it's still very imaginative. Their references will be a bunch of kitchen utensils. which sounds weird, but it's true. See, look, this picture actually is from last year. I don't know if you can tell, she has a potato masher in her hand. And then there's also a pair of tongs there. I usually bring in like my potato ricer, any kind of like utensil-y stuff that I can find around my house, I bring in. And we set them all on the table, and they do like drawings of these utensils. And then we cut them out, and we make a machine out of collaging them. So it's very imaginative, it's very playful. One of the things that we teach in this class is how to show movement. All of these utensils have some sort of movement to them. And so we're going to use like motion lines or like different ways to illustrate vibrations. And so that'll be part of our drawing lesson. Most of our kids are going to do this in pencil, and then we're going to encourage them to ink and color as well. In our Drawing 102 classes, now we got 2 different Drawing 102 classes, so I'm going to talk through each of them. Our Drawing 102 illustrative, let's start with that first. So illustrative classes this month are going to work on scenes. Not just like in December, if you were with us, we did like an indoor room where like we worked on linear perspective. Not that. That's not what we're thinking. What we're thinking is like, you know, when you have a fantastic story, and the setting for that story, the world that that story takes place in, has its own characteristics, its own personality. That's what they're going to work on developing. So we're going to start with the top-down, large-scale view of our world that we are building. Think map of Middle Earth. Okay, so we're going to talk about a bird's eye view. We're going to talk about planning and symbols. And creating this world. Now, for a lot of our illustrative artists, they probably already have one in their brain because they're such story-rich kids anyway. And then as the month goes on, we're going to drill down. So we're going to drill down from that world, that land, to that city, to that castle, to that palace, to that, right? So we're gonna drill down into that. And we'll get closer and closer to it and figure out like, how do we draw a world that is villainous? How do we draw a world that is mystical? How do we like these characteristics that we attribute to people? We're going to attribute them to a world and try to put them into a visual language. That's our plan. All right. We've got some examples for them. My husband's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and so that's where I go. But I think Harry Potter would probably work. I'm ashamed to say that is not a book series I've read, so I don't know a lot about it. All right, but our Drawing 102 realistic people, that's what the ballerina is here for. This is new this year, you guys. So if you've been around a while, usually February is figure and portrait. And we tackle a lot in February. We do both figure and we do portrait in just 4 weeks. And one of the things we wanted to change this year is to split apart figure from portrait and dedicate more time to both of those lessons. And so this entire month for our realistic 102 classes will be on the human figure and how to draw that. We're going to start by looking at reference photos. So we've got a bunch of reference photos of dancers. I love using dancers because a lot of times the clothing that they're wearing shows off a lot of musculature and allows us to really see the body and still be appropriate for kids. And so we're going to be drawing from photograph. We're going to draw dancers. We're going to also draw the skeleton so that you can see where she's got her elbow bent. So we can see where the body hinges and in what direction, right? So we'll talk about the skeletal system so that we can get those bends right. Like there should not be a bend in your forearm. If there is, something is wrong. So we're also going to talk through proportions and understanding like how long your arms really are and how long your legs really are relative to other parts of the body. So this will be an entire month long of different invitations and exercises that explore the figure and hopefully make us better at drawing the human figure. All right. I feel like I haven't looked at my notes. I'm just doing this from memory, so double check. I got it. All right, here we go. Drawing 103. So Drawing 103 Advanced Realistic is doing a still life. So we are going to do a modern still life. This is an example of one of my favorite artists. She is Not Sorry Art on Instagram. And she does a lot of still life. Actually, in Liberty, we have her book sitting in the lobby. It's called Modern Still Life. She is I believe, an acrylic artist. I don't think she's oils. But she does a lot of still lifes, and it's all very modern stuff. So when you think still life, like back in the day, bowl of fruit, vase of flowers, right? But this one's gonna have like gaming consoles and fast food, right? So it's a more like in the times snapshot of, you know, the time we live in, modern still life. So she also does some really great ones that are like 80s and 90s still lifes, where she gets, you know, stuff that really signify that those decades, and then puts them in a still life and then paints them. So we're gonna look at some of her art, and also another Instagram artist that I follow, who's the actually the oil painter who did the pet portrait, same one. So we're gonna look at those examples and talk about their use of color, their use of composition, and then like what items they choose. We will brainstorm the types of items that our artists might like to choose. I've got some objects. We have some in the studio, and then I'm gonna bring some from home, where we can play with compositions. And then artists will have a choice to either like set up their composition using the objects that we have, or to set up a still life at home using the objects that they're passionate about. And then we will set an arrangement and work from a photograph. I would love to paint from an actual still life, but because of the way our classes are set up, it's just not feasible. Because in order to do that, we would have to have a still life set up for an entire month. And we would have to have 10 still lifes set up for the entire month, because that's how many kids are enrolled in that class, right? So it's just not feasible, but we will set up the arrangement and then take a picture, and then we'll work from that photograph. So this week, really our objectives are to understand, to brainstorm, to look at some inspiration, and then possibly to get a photograph. And if we can't get a photograph, at least know that the assignment before you come next week is to have a photograph. So if anybody gets a photograph and wants to start like sketching, they sure can. The other thing we're going to do for this class, which is something we haven't done in 2 years, like ever. I'm trying to think how long this class has been around, is 103 Realistic is going to work in alcohol ink markers. Which is going to be awesome. I think they're going to be excited about it. I don't know. They're a tough crowd. Hopefully they're excited. I'm excited. So I don't usually work in alcoholic markers. All right. And then for my 103 illustrative crew, they are going to be doing word art. And so their challenge is to draw a 3-panel design, which should be really familiar because we did a 3-panel design in December. So they'll map out their panel design. I go like this linear, but it doesn't have to be linear. It can be divided however they want. And they will illustrate 3 different words in those panels along with the character that goes with them. So those things should make sense. Okay. And they always use alcoholic markers, but I'm sure they will this year, or this month too. All right, let's go through some housekeeping stuff. So we're finally to the point where, like, my green screen's doing funny things. I can't fix that over there. We'll just have to deal with it. Must be a funny shadow. All right. All right, we got to go through housekeeping. Ready? Number 1. Inclement weather. So if you haven't heard, we do not follow school closings. I understand that, like, yes, if the school's closed, maybe it makes sense for us to close. Up until COVID happened, we had never closed, you guys. Now we're in Missouri, and honestly, we don't usually get that out of weather, but we had never closed. And then like COVID shut us down, and seems like we've had worse weather since then, and I don't know. Anyways, so we've had a few times where we've closed early and moved classes and shifted. But what I will tell you is we never close and we're like, well, that class is gone. Thanks for paying us for it. Like that will never happen. If we have to close because of weather, we will figure out a way to get you that lesson and to get you that like project done and to get that made up. Now, it may not be perfect because there's a limit to the hours of the day and the staffing that I have. And I mean, we're just limited, right? I can't completely put everybody in the next day's class because we don't have that many seats. But we will figure it out. Okay. In terms of getting notifications, because I can't just say, well, if the schools are closed, we're closed. In terms of getting notifications, the best place to go is going to be Twitter. It's such a clean platform for me to put just in like bare bones information out. Okay. And if you go to my profile, it's listed in date order. as opposed to by an algorithm. So you can find the most recent post, okay? So that's a great place to go. The next place to find that information would be in our private Facebook group, because I will always share the Twitter post to the private Facebook group. Here's the thing with the Facebook group though, don't trust it to put it in date order. So you may go to the group and depending on your Facebook settings or what the algorithm decides to show you, the top post may not be the most recent one. Be aware. Facebook likes to move things around. Okay, so you can sort. There's like a button. You can sort by like most recent, most relevant, most popular. I don't know. But you can sort it. Again, I would just go to Twitter, but I will share it to the private Facebook group. Okay. I also will try to screen capture that same tweet and share it to Instagram stories, just because that's easy. Trying to think what else. And then I always email the affected families. So if you are in that class that night when we're changing things up, you will get an email. But here's the thing, and this is why I say go to Twitter. When I am sending mass emails, they like to go to junk. They like to go, like we've got, 86 kids signed up for classes on Mondays. Like they will go to your junk mail, possibly, or to your spam, or to your promotions folder. Or sometimes they're blocked entirely and I can't figure out why. It's not something on my end, but it's email things, magical email things. So yes, I will send an email. But again, go to Twitter just to make sure you see it. Okay. The inclement weather policy is on the website. So if you ever are not sure, you go to the bottom of the website, like down at the footer, it says for current students, makeups, class schedules, and more. You click it and it'll have a link to our weather policy. It also has where you do makeups. It also has your class schedule. So great link to know. Again, it's in the footer of the webpage. Okay. Here we go. Spring semester enrollments and monthly registration reminders. I just like to say this is at the beginning of the semester. This has nothing to do with weather. But we are starting our spring semester, which is January, February, March, April, and May. So it's 5 months long. If you are signed up for the entire semester, fabulous. There's really nothing you need to do. Like you've already paid your entire tuition, like awesome. Can't wait to see you. If something changes with your schedule and you need to transfer classes or move things or come on a different day, let me know. We'll edit your enrollment. My monthly people. So if you're paying your tuition monthly, so you're like every first of the month, you got a $99 charge for multimedia classes. That's the monthly people. You are also enrolled for the semester. We plan on you being here. We do not give your spot to anybody else. It is yours in April until you tell us otherwise. If you are not planning on continuing, so let's say you were only going to do January to begin with because it was a Christmas present or something like that. Or, you were only going to do January and February because track season starts in March. Okay. You just have to let us know. Monthly people. We like to know by the 20th, if at all possible, because that's about the time I start looking at enrollment and ordering supplies. So I like to know by the 20th. That also really helps me because I've got in some of our classes a wait list. And so that gives me a chance to connect with the wait list and figure out like if somebody wants your spot. Okay. So let us know by the 20th if you are planning on not returning. Okay. It also helps us so that we can make sure to get you your journal and all of that stuff. Okay. All right. See if there was any other notes that I added to. Nope. Nothing there. All right. And then my last little housekeeping note is about summer. If you've been on the website at all in the last week, you'll see there is now a summer page. It doesn't have a lot on it except for some graphics, but there is a spot for you to go ahead and put in your email if you'd like updates about summer as information comes out. The summer sneak peek, which is a tradition here at the studio, that will be started on the 20th. We'll go the 20th, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So 5 days of sneak peeks where we'll reveal a portion of the summer catalog. And that will come out in email form to anyone who has signed up for that. We don't just send it out to everybody, but if you would like that, you can go to that page, you can sign up. You can also find it on social media. I will post it there. If you put your email in though, I'll also send you messages when the entire catalog is revealed, which should happen on the 27th. And then I will send you reminders as registration opens, which for Studio Club members, that's March 1st. And for everyone else, it's March 15th. Both of those will start at 9 a.m. And all of that date is on this webpage. So if you go to summer 2025 on the website, everything I just spewed at you is all there in terms of dates and things. So you don't have to remember it. There are some changes for this year. I've hinted at that in previous videos, but there are some changes. We did not raise prices. Number one, did everything possible in my power to make sure that we did not raise any prices on summer. So that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I did not raise prices. Double negatives. We did change June. That was the biggest thing. So you guys just be aware, June is totally different. Because nobody needs camps in June, apparently. Something new. All right, you guys, I think that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, check my notes. I think that's it. All right. Well, I got to get back to my list. I got to get back to emailing all of you guys who have Monday classes. I have to, got a lot to do. Yeah. So I hope everyone out there stays safe. I hope you stay warm. Again, Tuesday classes, as of right now, if you're in an evening class, they are a go. But do check social media before you head this way, just to make sure, and I'll keep you updated if something changes. So have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week, and stay warm and safe, everybody.